Hey everyone, I am Jessica from Willow Vines Intuitive Vibes. I don't know if this is going to go on Patreon or if I'm not going to share it at all. I'm not really sure. But as I was doing whatever I was doing today, I'm like tidying things up. But anyways, I was listening to different stories from different people, like all walks of life, basically. But what really struck a chord in me was there was this one dude talking about how he used to work in psychiatric hospitals and stuff. He was a nurse, and the types of people he would run into. I'm gonna sneeze. Am I? Still feel it, but it's not quite there. So anyways, I fucking hate that. It's like, do it or don't. But there's probably someone in this energy that needs to just like shit or get off the pot, basically. But anyways, he was talking about like his most memorable experiences that probably weren't the best. I can't remember the exact question that this dude was asked, but he was talking about unlifing, and that's the way I'm going to say it, because on Patreon I can say it point blank. On here, if I choose to upload this to YouTube, YouTube doesn't like said topics, but it was like what he said that really like resonated with me was you never know. You really don't. You could have all the training in the fucking world and someone could smile to your face and have the best day ever and then go do whatever they're going to do. And he literally said, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And there's nothing any single person can do to change that. And that's not just in a hospital setting. That's what happens when people choose to do that to themselves, no matter where they are, no matter how they do it. There really isn't anyone that's going to talk them out of it if they're in that mindset. And that's terrifying. It really is, because, you know, there could be some people who will argue this, like, yeah, if you show support and you're there, they might not, maybe it's delayed or they change their mind. And that can happen because, we're all human and we do change our minds, depending on what's going on around us. But I kind of want to speak to those who have dealt with that, who have been in that situation. Not saying that you've tried to talk somebody out of it, just saying that someone you love and care about, unlife themselves. And you think back and go, because this has happened in my own life too, not just for me personally, but also with people I know, like, and how they feel is like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I wish I would have called. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have said this. If I was there, maybe. It might have been delayed. Maybe it could have helped. But if someone has that thought in their head and they are gonna do it, they're gonna do it. No matter how much love is around, no matter how much support is around. It doesn't make you a shitty friend, a shitty partner, a shitty parent, a shitty whatever, sibling, otherwise. It doesn't make you a shitty person. It just shows that they hid it well, that they decided to keep that to themselves, which is the scariest part of shit like that, because people who are in that mindset, they don't share. They don't exhibit, most of them, because some of them do, but most of them don't exhibit these warning signs because they bury those feelings. They suppress it. It happens with veterans a lot, when they can't deal with certain things and they don't want to seek external help. They don't feel they're worthy, whatever the reason, whatever the reason is, it is not your fault that you didn't call. It is not your fault that you weren't there visiting. It is not your fault, period. That was that person's choice, whether it was the right choice or not, and in the eyes of those who love said person is not the right choice. It is like you could have chose every other path except for this kind of thing. But we never know what people truly go through. I'm a psychic, yes. I'm a medium. I'm an empath. I feel other people's emotions. I'm very in tune with that. But I still don't know everything. I might feel those feelings from time to time. Like, here's an example of self-harm. Or just knowing that people are sad, I'm just saying, because it's been more than once. But I've been worried about people before and spoke up to them, and I didn't tell them why I was being so supportive. I just was. And so far so good is what I want to say, because we all have dark thoughts from time to time, but those who truly are going to do something, there really is no way to change it. For the most part, is what I want to say. And I'm saying that because I know many of you have dealt with that, have witnessed it, have gone through it, and blamed yourself. Like, I should have been there. Like, I should have been a better friend. I should have been a better whatever. I should have been better, period. And that shit isn't about you. It isn't about us. It's about whoever the fuck was dealing with whatever they were dealing with. But, like, for example, with my intuitive gifts and stuff, when my daughter wasn't living in my home, she was living at her grandmother's house, like a few hours away, because she was butthurt, and I was like, you know what? You don't like my rules? Go ahead. Just fucking go. Preteen angst. Ultimately, I didn't like it, but I also didn't like her fucking attitude, just saying. She was just against the world and me. She hated me the most, and I feel like she hated me the most because I cared the most, and she didn't like it. So it was kind of like, all right, let's have a break kind of energy. That's the way I looked at it. And she was a manipulative bitch that entire time. She really was. If I'm being 1,000%, like, my daughter is not a fucking saint. She comes for me, and I want to be like, yes, this is my baby. And I am proud of her. I really am. She's doing great. She's made a lot of positive changes in her life currently, but it wasn't always that way. She was a very hard one. She was my hard kid, because I got two, and my son's just always been easygoing. We've had our moments. I'm just saying, we've had our difficulties. That's just life. But he actually comes from a place of understanding. Like, when you say something, he's like, yeah, okay, I can see it from your point of view, and blah blah. And he reflects and he thinks about it. My daughter don't give a fuck. You can share your opinion till the cows come home, and she's just like, it's my way or the highway. Like, that's just how she is. But regardless, I was gonna say something, I'm not gonna. But anyways, there was a dark time in our history with her, especially. There's been dark times with other people too in my life, myself included, when I was younger. But regardless, I just remember we weren't talking on the phone at the time, and I was standing in my window because I was having a cigarette. I don't smoke in my room anymore, but it was cold, and I was just like, I don't want to go to. I was being lazy, so I was just smoking in my window, and I started doing this. Like, I pulled my sleeve up, and I just started, like, slicing my arm with my finger, like, just slash, slash, slash. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I pretending to cut myself. Like, what am I doing? And I wasn't thinking of her. Like, I wasn't I was in her energy, but I wasn't thinking of her. I wasn't like, it did pop in my mind that she was doing that, but I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, things don't seem to be bad, so I'm not sure. I questioned the crap out of it, but yes, her name popped in my head. I was visualizing her when I was doing it, but I still didn't acknowledge that because, for one, it's so close to home. She's my baby. She's my daughter. I don't want to imagine her doing anything like that. I don't want to imagine her feeling bad enough to do something like that. So I was in denial. And I was getting spiritual messages. I was totally in tune with her ass. I just second guessed it. I did. And then I think it was 3 or 4 days later, there was a problem, and I went up to pick her up because I don't remember what the problem was now. I really don't. But there was a problem, and I was like, you know what? She's coming home. And I didn't tell her. I didn't text her. I didn't call her. I didn't say, hey, I'm coming to get you. I was just like, I was talking to her grandparents, which is her father's side of the family. And I'm like, don't tell her, but I'm on my way. So I drove 3 hours up to pick her up, and when I pulled in, she was pissed at me. Like, she did not want to come home. And I was just like, fuck you. You have to, basically. But anyways, being a parent sucks sometimes, and she's gonna learn that. I'm just saying. Because she is one now. But anyways, I remember when I pulled in, she thought I was just gonna visit. She didn't think I was there to pick her up or anything. And she came down to greet me, and it was hot as fuck. It was so hot outside, and she was wearing a sweatshirt. And I looked at her, and I'm like, why are you wearing a sweatshirt? It's so hot out right now. She's like, oh, I just feel fat and whatever. Like, I'm hiding my rolls, basically. I'm hiding beneath this blanket. Which is common for her. It's common for many people. But I remember she reached out to grab something, and I saw like a little red right here. And I was like, what's on your arm? And she went, nothing. And I said, oh, it's something. Show me. I'm not going to be mad at you. Show me. I probably looked mad looking back, but I was hurt. Because her whole arm, from wrist to fucking elbow, was sliced up. She did what I reenacted in my room. Like, I was probably doing it at the same time as she was doing it to herself, like literally doing it. And I didn't know. Like, and it fucking broke my heart, because as a teenager, I struggled with depression. I struggled with shit, a lot of shit. I didn't have the best household. Life wasn't that great. And I always tried to make her and my son's life better than mine, because I wasn't looking at it from a financial standpoint. I always tried to be there emotionally, supportive, because that's what I lacked growing up. And that's what made, I felt that disconnect, basically. And, sometimes it just happens. We can do everything right, or we think we are. We can do our best. And it just still happens, That's kind of what I'm getting at with it. And it broke my heart, and I didn't cry in the moment, but I did cry over that, because I just, my baby's hurting, and I can't fix it, I don't want it to get worse, kind of thing. But I felt it in that moment. I literally was looking out the window at the stars, pretending to slice my fucking arm to shit, probably while my daughter was doing it. That's an eye-opener. I'm just saying. You don't have to be psychic to be connected to your children or your family. But I am psychic. I know things. I don't always know that I know them. And I've explained this so many times in so many different ways. In that video with the carriage, the vintage antique carriage that I did in my basement, the only reason it's not on YouTube right now is because what I was talking about pertaining to my mom's boyfriend, I know there's a lot of people that saw it, and that's fine. I only took it down because I felt like it was a breach of privacy. Because he's a very private person, and I was like, I probably shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't even have let on, even though nobody knows his name or who he is. That's the only reason that video was taken down. It wasn't because it was bad or anything like that. It wasn't because I regretted it. It was just because I felt like, from his perspective, it would be a breach of privacy. So that's why it's no longer there. Yeah, I hate crying on camera and stuff and being like that, but it wasn't about that. It wasn't about me or my experiences or the orbs or anything like that. That was literally the reason why I took it down. So if you saw it, great. I know you don't know who that person is, but it's just, I respect people's privacy. I respect people, period. So if you get a reading from me, it ain't gonna be shared. I'm not gonna fucking share your business with other people. I'm just not. If you're my friend and you tell me something, I'm not gonna share your fucking business, because I got dirt on a lot of people. There's a lot of people that I probably shouldn't be protecting. I should just out their fucking shit, and I don't. You wanna know why? Because they're not in my world right now. They're not affecting me, hurting me, or anyone I know or love or whatever. So I have no place to. But if any of those motherfuckers turn around and hurt someone I love or I know and care about, yeah, I'll be like, hey, you want to know what happened here? I'll fucking tell you. So, bank it up for the future if you have to. But regardless, it's not about banking shit up. It's just, you only share things when it's necessary, when it's a learning tool, when it's productive for the person or people involved in said situation. You know what I mean? Not everyone gives me that common courtesy. They don't, and I don't care, because that's their choice, and that will reflect on them, and they'll get their karma and judgment, and they can face whatever the fuck they face based off on what they fucking do, because I'm gonna live my life the way that I need to, basically, and you should as well. That's why I'm saying all of this. But with the whole unlifing energy, I just want to say, because like I said, I've been watching a lot of stuff, and a lot of it had to do with crime scene cleanups, which involves that. And there's so many things that have been popping up lately about unlifing someone doing that to themselves. And I really hope nobody, I can't say nobody because there's so many people in the world. I really hope nobody who's paying attention to me, at least, is feeling that way. And if you are, please email me, talk to me. I will be your friend. I'm just saying, I will talk to you if you are feeling low and having those thoughts, whether you're feeling like you're going to do it or not. Just know that that is an outlet. If you choose not to, that's totally fine, because that is up to you. That is up to whoever. But a lot of that's been coming up lately. And the whole premise of it all is it's not your fault. Because I've seen the dark side of it with crime scene cleanup and the bullshit that happens with with some ways that people decide to do whatever they do. It's just so sad that people even feel, I'm gonna cry. Oh my God. It's just so sad that people even feel that that's their last resort, that's the only thing that they can do, that they have left. It's so sad, that they've gone through whatever they've gone through, whether they were believed, whether they ever spoke about it or not, you know? Like, we all struggle. We all go through dark, deep shit at certain times in our lives. You know, some of us worse than others, you know, with abuse, whether it's sexual or not. And addiction, PTSD, just shit struggles, you know? There was someone I knew in high school who had issues with her father for the most part. And it wasn't like issues with authority, and it wasn't abuse related. It was just like pressure, you know, being put on that person, like you have to be this way kind of thing. And some people do take that on like as their own, like I have to act this way, I have to do this, this is whatever. And it can be overwhelming, especially if someone is not in that position to handle that, or that's just not what they're gonna do kind of thing. Like, I don't want to disappoint people, this person, whatever, and they feel like they are, or that they would if they did what they want. And then it's like, this isn't the life for me. You know, it can be as simple as that, quote unquote, as simple as that. That's rough, you know? This shit happens for many reasons. For reasons we don't always understand, because we don't know what people feel. We don't know what they hold on to. We don't know what bothers them, because what bothers me might be a cakewalk for you, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was watching this video today, because I watched a lot of different things, on this dude who was in special forces. He was an Army Ranger at one point and whatever. Worked his way up, did his thing, because he made like a career out of the military. And it kind of makes me wonder, there's a couple people that were in the Army during like the Iraqi wars and shit. I wonder if they know this person. I'm just saying. But anyways, like, his stories were so profound and sad and empowering. Like, it's crazy all the emotions you can feel when listening to something from someone sometimes, like their experiences and what they go through. But you know, I don't really know where I was going with that completely, but this dude was talking about how, you know, he's experienced loss and PTSD. He openly spoke about his mental struggle, basically. Like, he didn't do it initially, but it took him a minute. But, you know, he had lost people through the war, his brothers, his comrades, you know, people he loved and cared about, even his best fucking friend in the military. And he had survivor's guilt, which he didn't know that was even a term until he went to therapy. But he had survivor's guilt, because it's like the shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like, the one time I'm not deployed, this happens and you die. And what if I was there? If I was there, maybe not. You know, you can't think like that, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You can't think of the what ifs, because you weren't there for a reason, basically. So if you're dealing with survivor's guilt, it's not your fault that you're alive. You're here for a bigger purpose. You're here for a fucking reason. Share the story, you know, whatever you went through. There's so much more to it than we can grasp or even think of in the moment, especially when we're upset or when we're reeling with those feelings, even if it's been years. Because sometimes we can just be stuck on that cycle, like, this is how I think, and nobody needs to know. Well, someone needs to if you're feeling that way, I'm just saying. And this guy, like, I just commend him, not only for serving this country, he's a US veteran, but it's not just about serving the country and the people and doing what he did. It's about what he's gone through. Like, he put himself through all of that selflessly. You know, even if he went into the service for his own fucking reasons, which is usually what people do if they're not in trouble with the law and whatever, which I don't think they do that anymore. You actually have to have an education to get in now. It's different than it was way back when. Delinquents used to be sent in there just as a punishment. So it's like, if you're actually signing up for that, you must really want it, because it used to be a punishment. Like, legit. Like, either jail or military. They don't do that anymore. At least here in this country, they don't. But regardless, this guy worked his way up, and he kept failing tests. He had to take every test like twice, is what he said. But he was that determined. He was a go-getter, which is probably why he got to where he was in the special forces and whatever. And he was part of the team that actually captured bin Laden. He was part of that. And that's pretty cool. I'm just saying, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But regardless, he struggled a lot because of the loss he faced at war. And then when he was home, just his own fucking shit. And he had injuries, and he ended up being addicted to pain meds. And then when that was kind of taken away, he fell into alcoholism, and he would get to the point of blacking out a lot. And he said that his final wake-up call was after a blackout. He literally mentally came to with a pistol in his hand. He was getting ready to unlife himself. He couldn't deal with all the shit he knew, with all the shit he went through. And that happens a lot with veterans, no matter what country you're from. It's so sad. It's because there's not a lot of resources out there for those who serve to protect us, for those who devote their lives, their mental stability to people, to others. They don't get the help that they deserve, that they need. Half of them are fucking homeless, which is so sad. Like, don't even get me started on that, because I'm going to go down a rabbit hole with that. But he woke up, came to, whatever, with a pistol in his hand, and stopped himself. And then he got help. And now he's an advocate for people like that. Now he tells his story. He shares the deep, dark bullshit that he went through to help others. Like, you are not alone. I understand. I went through blah, 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 whatever. Maybe it's not comparable, but trust me, I know those feelings. Even if it's not exactly the same, I understand where you're coming from, And that's such a beautiful thing. That was his purpose. And I kind of feel like he went through all that crap for that, to help people. That's why the people who want to help the most are the ones who have struggled the most, because we've been there. We've been there. I don't talk about my past much. I've mentioned it here and there, and I've bitched about my daddy issues and whatever before, but I've never really gotten into details of the things that I've gone through. And even though what I dealt with was horrific for me, there are so many people who have gone through so much worse, which is why I always say, do not compare pain, because we all feel what we feel for a reason. And don't discredit your feelings because somebody went through something worse than you. You're still validated for how you feel. That's still valid. If you start comparing, you're going to go, what I went through wasn't that bad. You went through that? I'm a baby. I should just shut my face. And then we suppress when we think like that. Don't think like that, because pain is pain. And yes, some people do suffer worse than us. And that sucks. That's it sucks. Like, I can't even believe what humanity is capable of. It's fucking bullshit. But it doesn't discredit what you've gone through. whether it was in a partnership, like a relationship between you and your husband, your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, your parents, whoever. It doesn't matter. Like, whatever you've gone through, military, you had just had bad experiences. You were involved in a mass pew-pewing or whatever, or you knew people that were, and it still affected you. There's so many different scenarios. I can't name them all. I can't list them all. But all I can say is that's why we need to be a little bit more self-focused versus comparing our problems. Because that's why a lot of people suppress shit and then they do unlife themselves because they don't feel worthy. It's like, why am I crying about this when so-and-so is going through that? I'm just a bitch. No, you're not. You're not. Your feelings are valid. And I just want you to know that. But I also just want to end this with, because this isn't a reading, it's just a share, it's just a talk or whatever. I just want to end this with the whole unlifing situation. No matter who does that around you, just know that it's not your fault. Unless they write it in a letter and say, hey, fuck you, basically. Like, I did this because of you, that's a whole different story. But normally that's not the case. Normally it's just a bunch of shit that somebody can't deal with. And those people that do that don't usually talk about it. They stay silent because they don't want attention. They don't want anyone to know. They want to suffer in silence because they don't want to burden you with their stupid, minor bullshit. Because what I'm feeling doesn't matter. But it does. It matters. No matter how fucking stupid it is, no matter how minor it is, it matters. You matter. I should put like suicide prevention number on here. I don't know it. Maybe I'll put it in the description. I'm going to look it up. But I don't know. Nothing is ever that bad. There's always someone that will be there. I just want to say, but I love you guys so much, and know that if you have dealt with that and lost someone in that way, that my heart goes out to you, and I don't want you to internalize that pain and anger and frustration and all of it, because it's not your fault. There's nothing you could have done, is my point here. Sadly. And I don't take this topic lightly. I don't. Because I've known people who have. I love you guys. Just know that if you ever need to vent confidentially, you can always email me. Whether I email you back or not, you can just send it and forget it if you want. Send it to the ethers, kind of thing. I will never share your story unless you tell me to or ask me to. But I love you guys so much, and my heart goes out to all of you who are dealing with shit. I don't care what it is. I really don't. I love you. Know that you're being thought of and that you are loved.